The human boy Daniel had just finished his late-night study. His alien roommate, Lyra, sat quietly at her desk, her long silver hair falling like a curtain over her glowing skin. The dorm room was silent, only the hum of the heater and the faint sound of wind outside. Suddenly, a sharp alarm screamed through the halls, red lights flashed, and the door to their small room locked with a loud metallic click. Daniel jumped to his feet, confused. He rushed to the door and pulled at the handle, but it refused to open. "What the hell? Is this a drill?" Daniel muttered, his voice shaking. He had been through fire alarms before, but never something like this. The lights outside the small window flickered, then died, leaving only the glowing emergency strip on the wall, across the room. Lyra didn't move to the door. Instead, she froze, her shoulders stiff. Her glowing eyes widened, and for the first time since they had become roommates, Daniel saw fear in them. "It's not a drill," she whispered. Her voice was soft, almost broken. Daniel turned back, confused. "Then what is it? Why are we locked in? What's happening out there?" Lyra didn't answer. She pulled her blanket tighter around herself. Her breathing became heavy, uneven, like she was struggling with something inside her. Daniel frowned and walked closer. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked, trying to sound calm, but his heart was racing. Something about her silence scared him more than the alarm. She shook her head. Don't come near me," she said quickly. Her voice cracked, her body trembled like a storm was building inside her. Daniel froze, confused. "Why not? We're stuck in here together. What's going on?" Her hands gripped the edge of the desk. Her nails, sharper than human ones, dug into the wood. Her glowing skin began to shine brighter, faint at first, then stronger. Her silver hair seemed to shimmer with it. Daniel felt his stomach twist. The air in the room was warmer now, heavy, suffocating. "Lyra?" he whispered, stepping back slowly. She closed her eyes and took a shaky breath. "It came too early. I wasn't ready," she whispered to herself. Her words made no sense to him. "What came too early?" Daniel asked, his voice low. The alarm outside had stopped. The silence that followed was worse. The only sound was Lyra's trembling breaths. She opened her eyes and looked at him. For a moment, her face was full of fear, not anger, not hate, just pure fear. "You don't understand," she said. "You shouldn't be trapped in here with me." Daniel's pulse quickened. He glanced at the locked door, then back at her glowing face. He wanted answers, but deep down a strange instinct told him this was dangerous. The minutes dragged on. Every second, the room felt smaller, hotter. He could feel sweat on his neck. His roommate sat on her bed now, hugging her knees, rocking, slightly like she was fighting against something invisible. Daniel wanted to ask again, but the words died in his throat. The way she looked, like she was on the edge of breaking, kept him silent. Then the lights flickered again, but this time inside the room. The emergency strip dimmed and the air vents shut down. A low mechanical hum filled the silence, locking them deeper in isolation. Daniel pressed his forehead against the door, his breath quick. "Why would they trap us like this?" he whispered, almost to himself. Behind him, Lyra answered in a voice that sent chills down his spine. "Because they don't know what I am about to become." Daniel slowly turned from the door. His roommate, Lyra, sat on the edge of her bed, clutching the blanket so tightly that her knuckles looked pale against her glowing skin. Her eyes shimmered like liquid silver in the dim light. She shook her head, whispering again, "Stay away from me." Her voice was sharper this time, but it trembled like she was afraid of her own words. Daniel raised his hand slowly, as if calming a frightened animal. "Okay. I'll stay here," he said, backing up until his back pressed against the cold wall. "But can you at least tell me what's happening?" Her breathing grew uneven. She buried her face against her knees for a moment, then looked up at him with wide, desperate eyes. "It's the season," she whispered. "The season?" Daniel repeated, frowning. "What does that even mean?" Lyra closed her eyes as if the word itself burned. Her body trembled harder. She pulled her blanket up around her shoulders, wrapping herself tight. "You wouldn't understand. Humans don't have it. But for me, It's dangerous. I was supposed to be with my family when it started, but the lockdown. She shook her head, unable to finish. Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to ask more, but the way she looked, shaking, glowing, fighting some inner storm, told him this wasn't the right time. Still, curiosity clawed at him. Dangerous how? Is someone coming after you? Or is it something inside you? Her silence was his answer. She looked away, refusing to meet his eyes. Her hands clenched the blanket so hard the fabric began to tear. The air in the room thickened. Daniel wiped sweat from his brow. He could feel the heat rolling off her side of the room. Like an invisible fire, his instinct screamed at him to stay away. But something else, a strange pull, kept him watching her. Finally, Lyra spoke again, her voice raw. My people call it the burning. Once it starts, it can't be stopped. We lose control, our instincts take over. That's why families keep us safe, locked away until it passes. But I am not safe this time, and neither are you. Daniel's heart skipped. He stepped forward without thinking. Then what should I do? Tell me, Lyra, I can help. No, she cried, her voice sharp like a blade. Her sudden outburst made him flinch. She pressed her hands against her temples, her breathing harsh. The more you try to help, the worse it will get. You don't understand, Daniel. Your presence makes it worse already. He froze, her words sinking deep. Did she mean that he was the problem? That just being near her pushed her closer to whatever she was fighting? Daniel wanted to argue, but the look on her face silenced him. She was terrified, not of him, but of herself. Minutes passed in silence, broken only by her shaky breaths. Daniel sat down on the floor across from her, as far as the small room allowed. His mind raced. He had signed up for a shared dorm with an alien roommate, thinking it would be a new experience, maybe even fun. But now, trapped in lockdown, he was realizing he didn't know her at all. Outside, the distant sound of metal groaning echoed through the hallways. The lockdown wasn't ending soon. The walls felt closer, tighter. He looked at Lyra again. She had curled into herself, her glowing eyes flickering like stars fighting against darkness. Daniel's gut twisted. He whispered softly, "We'll get through this, okay? Just tell me what I can do. I won't let you face this alone." Her head snapped up, her eyes widened with shock. For a moment, the storm inside her seemed to pause. Her lips trembled as if she wanted to say something, but instead, she pulled the blanket higher, hiding her face. Her voice came muffled, almost breaking. "You shouldn't promise that, because soon I might not be me anymore." Daniel stared at her, a chill crawling down his spine. He realized this was only the beginning. Whatever storm Lyra was trapped in, he was now trapped in it too. The night grew heavier inside the dorm room. Daniel sat with his back against the wall, his eyes fixed on Lyra. Every second felt longer, like the clock had slowed down just to trap them in the silence. The air was warmer now, not just from the broken vents, but from her. He could feel it, the strange heat rolling from her body like waves. His skin prickled, sweat forming at the back of his neck. Across the room, Lyra shifted restlessly. Her blanket had slipped from her shoulders. Her glowing skin seemed brighter than before, faint light seeping from her like fire under fragile glass. Daniel swallowed hard. "You're burning up," he said softly. His voice carried concern, but also fear. "I told you not to talk," she snapped. Her voice was harsher, sharper than before. Then almost instantly, her expression broke into guilt. She squeezed her eyes shut, her body trembling. I didn't mean that. It's just harder when you speak. Your voice makes it worse." Daniel stayed quiet, his chest tightened. He didn't know what to do, comfort her or stay silent. Every choice felt dangerous. Minutes stretched. The warmth turned into heat. It pressed against his skin, heavy and suffocating. He wiped his face again, but his eyes stayed on her. She was shaking violently now, her nails scratching faint lines into the desk. Her breath grew louder, each inhale shaky. each exhale almost a growl. She pressed her forehead against her knees, fighting something inside her body. "Lyra," Daniel whispered without thinking. Her head snapped up, her glowing eyes locked onto him. For the first time, he saw something wild in them, an instinct, primal and uncontrollable. Her chest rose and fell too quickly. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something, but no words came out. Daniel's throat went dry. He pressed himself tighter against the wall, trying to stay calm. He had lived with her for months. They shared meals, small talks, the same room. But tonight she wasn't the same Lyra he knew. She stumbled to her feet, the blanket falling completely. The glow around her body made her look unreal. Beautiful but terrifying. Her silver hair shimmered like molten light. She hugged herself, shivering despite the unbearable heat. "It's starting," she whispered. Her voice broke, like a confession she didn't want to make. Daniel's heartbeat hammered in his chest. "What's starting?" he asked, even though he already knew the answer. She shook her head. "The burning, the hunger. I can't stop it." Her knees gave out, and she sank to the floor, clutching her arms tightly. Daniel crawled forward a little, instinct, pushing him to help. But before he could get close, she raised a trembling hand. "Don't," she begged. Her eyes glistened with tears. "If you touch me, I might not be able to let go." Her words cut through him. His body froze. He understood now. This wasn't just pain. It was something deeper, more dangerous. Her instincts were waking, and he was the only one locked in here with her. The room felt like a furnace. Daniel's head spun. He took shallow breaths, trying to stay steady, his eyes never leaving her trembling figure. Outside, faint thuds echoed through the hallway, maybe guards, maybe other students trapped and panicking. But inside this room, a different battle raged. Lyra pressed her forehead to the ground, whispering to herself in her alien tongue, the words sharp and broken like prayers. She dug her nails into the floor as if grounding herself. Her body shuddered with every breath. Daniel's chest ached. He wanted to help to hold her steady, but her warning replayed in his head. "If you touch me, I might not be able to let go." The silence grew heavy again, broken only by her uneven gasps and the low hum of the locked door. Daniel realized with growing dread that this wasn't going to end quickly. The night was long, and the heat was only rising. Daniel tried to keep his distance. He pressed himself against the cold wall, but it didn't help. The heat from Lyra spread across the room like invisible fire. His breathing grew shallow, his shirt sticking to his back. On the floor, Lyra trembled. Her hands clutched the blanket, but the fabric slipped from her fingers again and again. Her glowing skin shimmered like waves of light. Her voice broke as she whispered to herself, "Hold on. Just hold on." Daniel couldn't take it anymore, watching her suffer tore at him. He crawled a little closer, careful, his palms flat on the floor. "Lyra, you don't have to fight this alone," he said softly. Her head jerked up. Her silver hair clung to her damp cheeks, her glowing eyes widened. "Stay back," she snapped. Her voice was rough, almost like a growl. Daniel froze, his heart pounded. He wanted to listen, but then she stumbled. Her body tilted forward and she collapsed against the bed frame. A sharp cry escaped her lips without thinking. Daniel lunged forward. His hands caught her shoulders before she hit the floor. Her body was burning, hotter than anything human. His skin tingled painfully at the touch, but he didn't let go. Her eyes shot open, and for a split second she looked at him. Not as a roommate, not as a friend, but as prey. Her glowing pupils narrowed. Her breath came in short, sharp gasps. Her trembling hands grabbed at his arm. Daniel's chest tightened. He tried to pull away, but her grip was strong, much stronger than before. Her nails dug lightly into his skin, not enough to break it, but enough to remind him she was dangerous. "Lyra," he whispered, trying to stay calm. "It's me." "Daniel, you're safe, I've got you." Her eyes flickered for a moment, softening, but then her body shuddered violently. She shoved him back so suddenly he hit the wall. His breath rushed out in a gasp. "No," she cried, her voice cracked. "You don't understand. Every second you touch me, it gets worse." She hugged herself tightly, curling against the bed. Her whole body shook like she was at war with herself. Daniel rubbed his shoulder. Still, catching his breath, his mind raced. She wasn't lying, he felt it too. The strange pull when their skin touched, like an invisible spark passing between them. The room fell silent except for her heavy breathing. Daniel stared at her, his thoughts spiraling. He had known she was hiding something since the first day they met, but now he realized the truth was far more dangerous than he ever imagined. Minutes passed. His body cooled against the wall, but hers only grew hotter. The glow around her body pulsed like a heartbeat. The room felt smaller and smaller, the air thick with heat and tension. Suddenly, Lyra's legs gave out again. She slid to the floor, her hands clawing at the wood as though trying to anchor herself. Daniel's instincts screamed at him to stay back, but his heart refused. He rushed forward again, catching her just before her head struck the ground. This time, her body pressed fully against his chest. Her heat burned through his shirt. Her hair brushed his face, silver strands sticking to his skin. Daniel froze. His breath caught in his throat. Her trembling eased for a moment. Her body stilled. Her glowing eyes opened slowly, staring up at him. Her lips parted as if she wanted to speak, but no words came. Daniel's heart raced wildly. He wanted to move, to let go, but his arms stayed. Around her, his body betrayed him, holding her tighter instead of pushing her away. And then it happened. Her hand slid up his chest, trembling, uncertain but real. Her fingertips burned like fire against his skin. Her voice finally came, low and broken. Why did you touch me?" Daniel had no answer. His mind screamed that this was a mistake, but his heart whispered something else, something he wasn't ready to face. In that moment, he realized the truth. This was only the first slip, and the night had only just begun. Daniel's arms shook as he slowly pulled away from her. His chest burned from the heat of her body, but the memory of her trembling against him was even hotter inside his mind. Lyra sat on the floor, her silver hair clinging to her damp skin. Her glowing eyes stayed on him, wide and full of something between fear and desperation. Her hand still lingered in the air as if she didn't want to let go. "Lyra," Daniel whispered, his voice raw. "You need to tell me what's happening. I can't help you if I don't know." She turned away, clutching the blanket she had dropped earlier. Her fingers shook as she gripped it. She stayed silent for what felt like forever, her breathing uneven, the glow on her skin pulsing like a heartbeat. Finally, her voice broke through the heavy silence. "It's my people's curse," she said softly, almost ashamed. "Every year our bodies change, our blood burns, our minds twist. We are consumed by one thing: mating." Daniel's breath caught. He blinked, as though he hadn't heard her right. "Mating?" he repeated, his voice cracked with shock. She nodded slowly. Her eyes still refused to meet his. "It is not a choice. It comes like a storm. It takes everything. Families keep us away from others until it passes. But this time..." Her voice trailed off. Daniel swallowed hard, the words sticking in his throat. "The lockdown," he said, realizing. "You got trapped in here with me." Her silence was the only answer he needed. The truth hit him like a weight. She wasn't just sick. She wasn't just scared. She was dangerous because her instincts weren't her own. And yet, she was fighting it. He could see it in the way she dug her nails into the blanket, the way she shook her head like she could force herself. "To be normal, why didn't you tell me before?" Daniel asked. His voice was low, careful. Her shoulders stiffened, her silver hair fell forward, hiding her face. "Would you have stayed?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Would you have agreed to live with me? Or would you have asked for a different roommate like everyone else?" Daniel froze, guilt twisting inside him. He thought back to the first day he moved into the dorm, when she barely spoke. When others had warned him that living with an alien could be difficult, he had brushed it off, telling himself it would be fine. But he had never known this. Her glowing eyes finally turned to him, shimmering with tears. "I didn't want you to see me like this," she whispered. "Weak, broken, dangerous." Daniel's chest tightened. His instincts screamed at him to stay away, but his heart pushed him forward. He crawled a little closer, careful not to touch her this time. "You're not weak," he said firmly. "You're fighting this. I can see it. That doesn't make you dangerous. It makes you strong." Her lips trembled. For a second he thought she might smile, but instead she shook her head again. "You don't understand, Daniel. The closer you are, the harder it gets. Every time you touch me, I lose a little more control if this continues." She stopped, biting her lip, fear flashing in her eyes. Daniel leaned forward slightly, his voice calm. "Then tell me what to do. Tell me how to help you get through it. Lockdown won't last forever. If you can hold on, we'll make it out." Her hands clutched the blanket tighter. Her glowing body shivered violently. "That's the problem," she whispered. "I don't know if I can hold on. I don't know if I can stop myself much longer." Her confession hung heavy between them. Daniel's pulse quickened. He looked at her, trembling, glowing, trapped between fear and instinct, and he realized with dread. This night wasn't about survival of the lockdown anymore. It was about survival from each other. And neither of them knew if they could win. The room felt smaller with every passing minute. The silence outside the door was heavy, broken only by the low hum of the lockdown system. Daniel pressed his back to the wall, staring at Lyra. Her glowing skin lit the dark corners of the room. Her breathing was fast and sharp. He had heard her confession, and now the words spun in his mind like chains around his chest. Mating season. No control. Dangerous. He wanted to believe she could hold on. But the way her body shook, the way her eyes flickered between fear and hunger told him the storm inside her was growing. The heat was unbearable. Sweat rolled down Daniel's face. His throat was dry. The vents had stopped hours ago, sealing the room like a furnace. The air was thick. Every breath felt heavy. Across the room, Lyra gripped the bed frame. Her nails dug into the wood, cracking it. She whispered something in her alien tongue, desperate words he didn't understand. Her silver hair clung to her damp face, her glowing eyes unfocused. Daniel stood slowly, careful not to startle her. "Lyra, you need water," he said softly, reaching for the small jug on the desk. His hand shook. He poured some into a cup and slid it toward her. She looked at it, then at him. Her lips trembled. "Don't come closer," she whispered. Her voice was weak but sharp. Her whole body shivered as she clutched the desk tighter. Daniel stepped back, leaving the cup on the floor between them. "Fine, I'll stay here," he said gently. "But you need to drink. You're burning up." For a moment, it seemed like she would refuse, but then she dropped to her knees and crawled to the cup. Her fingers trembled so badly she spilled most of the water. Still, she gulped the rest, the sound sharp in the heavy silence. Daniel watched her, torn, between relief and dread. Her glowing eyes flicked toward him again, sharper now. Her breathing slowed, but the heat didn't fade. Instead, it pulsed stronger, like the air itself was alive. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from outside. The dorm hallway shook as if something heavy had slammed against the walls. Daniel's heart leapt. He turned to the door, pressing his ear against the metal. Voices were muffled, panicked, then gone. The silence returned, even heavier. Lyra's voice came behind him, weak but haunting. "They don't know what's happening to me. If they did, they wouldn't dare lock me in here with you." Daniel turned slowly, her glowing form pressed against the bed frame. Her nails had scratched deep lines into the wood. She looked at him with wild eyes, half fear, half something darker. The walls felt like they were closing in. Daniel paced the small space. His chest rose and fell with every sharp breath. He wanted to scream, to demand the lockdown end. But the truth hit him. They were alone, cut off from everyone, and he had no idea how much longer they could survive this. Lyra slid down to the floor again, curling into herself. Her glowing light flickered. Weakly, she whispered, "It's too strong, Daniel. I can't fight it much longer." Daniel crouched on the other side of the room, gripping his hair. His mind raced. He had no training for this, no plan. He was just a student sharing a dorm with an alien girl. And now he was trapped in the middle of something he didn't understand. He looked at her again. Her body shook, her face hidden. Her voice was low, broken. "Please, when I lose control, don't let me hurt you." The words pierced him deeper than anything he wanted to promise, but his throat was dry. The heat pressed harder, the silence louder, the room smaller. The walls had closed in, and now there was nowhere left to run. Daniel sat on the cold floor, his back pressed against the wall. His hands were clenched into fists. His heartbeat was heavy in his ears. Every second felt like an hour. The room had become an oven, and the heat came from her, not the broken vents. Lyra knelt near the bed, her glowing skin bright as if fire lived under her flesh. Her breathing came in sharp bursts, her silver hair stuck to her wet cheeks. She trembled like a bowstring pulled too tight. Daniel whispered, "Just hold on, Lyra. You can fight this." Her head snapped up, her glowing eyes locked on him. For a moment her face showed only fear. But then something shifted. Hunger flickered in her gaze, something primal and raw. She stumbled forward, one step, then another. Her knees shook, her hands reaching out as though pulled by invisible strings. Daniel pressed himself tighter against the wall, his throat dry. "Stay back," he said. His voice cracked. He wanted to sound strong, but fear laced his words. Lyra froze mid-step, her entire body shook. Her nails scraped against the floor as she dug them in, fighting herself. "I can't," she whispered. Her voice broke. "It's too strong." Her legs gave out suddenly. She collapsed, and before Daniel could think, he was already moving. His body betrayed his fear. His instinct was to help. He caught her before she hit the ground. Her glowing body fell into his arms. Her heat seared through his shirt. His breath caught. His skin tingled where she touched him. Her head rested against his chest. Her glowing eyes lifted to his face. For a heartbeat, neither of them moved. Time stopped. The world outside the room vanished. There was only her trembling body pressed against his. Daniel's arms tightened unconsciously. His chest rose and fell with ragged breaths. "I've got you," he whispered. His voice low, steady despite the chaos inside him, but his words only made her tremble harder. Her hands clutched his arm, strong, desperate. Her nails dug slightly into his skin. Her breath came fast, hot, against his neck. Why do you make it worse?" she whispered. Her voice sounded broken. "Every second you touch me, it burns deeper. I can't control it." Daniel's throat tightened. He wanted to let go, but his arms refused. Something inside him screamed that if he released her now, she would shatter. Her body pressed closer, her glowing skin seared through him. His pulse quickened, his thoughts blurred. He couldn't tell where her heat ended and his own heartbeat began. For a moment their eyes locked, her silver glow reflecting in his dark pupils. The room seemed smaller, the air heavier. Their breaths mingled then. Without warning, her hand slid up his chest, trembling but determined. Her fingers pressed against him. His body stiffened. His heart thudded louder. "Lyra," he breathed, half warning, half plea. Her lips trembled. Her glowing eyes softened for the first time that night. "I don't want to hurt you," she whispered. Her body shook violently. "But if you stay this close, I don't know if I can stop." Daniel's arms slowly loosened. He forced himself to step back, even though it felt wrong. His chest ached as the warmth of her body left his. He set her gently on the bed, pulling away with shaking hands. She curled into herself instantly, hugging the blanket. Her glowing light dimmed slightly as if his distance helped her regain control. Her breath slowed. Though it still carried tremors, Daniel leaned against the wall again, his heart pounding like a drum. He closed his eyes, whispering to himself, "What am I doing? Why can't I just stay away?" But deep down, he knew the answer, because the first touch had changed everything, and now staying away might be impossible. Daniel sat with his back against the wall, his chest rising and falling too quickly. His hands still tingled where they had touched her glowing skin. He could not erase the feeling. It burned inside him like a secret fire. Across the room, Lyra, curled up on the bed, her blanket wrapped tightly around her trembling body. The glow from her skin leaked through the fabric, soft but haunting. Her eyes squeezed shut, her breath heavy. For a long moment neither of them spoke. The silence pressed down on them thick and heavy. Daniel wiped sweat from his forehead. His throat was dry. But it wasn't just the heat of the room. It was her presence. Finally, Lyra whispered, "Why did you touch me? Why didn't you listen?" Daniel's voice came out rough. "Because you were falling. I couldn't just watch you hit the ground." Her silver eyes opened, glowing faintly. She looked at him from the shadows of the blanket. "You don't understand. Every time you're close, it feeds the fire, it makes it harder, it pushes me closer to losing control." Daniel leaned his head back against the wall, staring at the ceiling. "Then what do you want me to do? Just sit here and let you burn?" Her lips trembled, her hands tightened around the blanket. "Yes," she whispered. "Better that than risk everything." His heart twisted at her words. He could see the truth in her eyes. She wasn't only afraid of herself, she was afraid of hurting him. The minutes dragged, the room was suffocating. Daniel tried to distract her. His voice cut the silence. "On Earth, we used to lose power in the winters. I'd sit with my sister, tell her stories so she wouldn't be scared." Lyra's eyes flickered to him, confusion breaking through the haze. "Stories?" she asked weakly. Daniel nodded, forcing a small smile. "Yeah. Fairy tales. My favorite was about a little girl who followed a star through the dark forest. She thought it would lead her to safety, but it brought her to something even better. Hope." For the first time that night, Lyra's lips curved slightly, not a full smile, but close. Her trembling eased just a little. Daniel kept talking, desperate to keep her grounded. He spoke about his home, the sound of rain, the smell of the ocean, simple things that might distract her from the storm raging inside. But the peace didn't last long. Her breathing grew heavier again. Her blanket slipped, the glow of her skin pulsing stronger. She gripped the bed frame, her eyes squeezing shut. "It's not enough," she whispered, her voice raw. "Talking isn't enough, Daniel. The fire, it's growing." Daniel's stomach twisted. He wanted to move closer, but he forced himself to stay still. His nails dug into his palms. "Then tell me what will help," he said firmly. "Tell me before it's too late." Her glowing eyes snapped open, staring at him with wild intensity. "Distance," she whispered harshly. "Stay away. Don't come near me again. Promise me." Daniel's chest ached. His instincts screamed to comfort her, to hold her. But his mind told him she was right. The urge inside her was pulling her closer to the edge, and if he gave in, it might consume them both. He swallowed hard and nodded. "All right, I promise." His voice cracked. "I'll stay here." Lyra sank deeper into the bed, curling up again, her glow still bright, but her trembling slowed slightly. Her voice came soft, broken. "Thank you for trying." Daniel leaned his head against the wall, staring at the dim ceiling light. His heart thundered in his chest. He had never felt so helpless. The urge to go to her was tearing at him, but he forced himself to fight it, because if he gave in now, everything would be lost. The room was silent except for the sound of their breathing. Daniel sat rigid against the wall, his fists clenched, his promise to keep distance repeated in his head like an iron chain. But his chest burned with the memory of holding her, of her trembling against him. Lyra lay curled on the bed, glowing, brighter with each passing minute. The blanket slipped from her shoulders. Her silver hair clung to her damp skin. Her body shivered violently. She pressed her face into the mattress, whispering words in her alien tongue, prayers or curses he could not tell. Daniel shut his eyes, trying to block out the sound. But every cry tore at him. Every tremble of her body pulled him closer to breaking his own promise. The heat grew worse. The air was thick. Pressing against his lungs, his shirt clung to him. His forehead was slick with sweat. The whole room felt alive with her presence. Her glow pulsed like a heartbeat, filling the darkness. Then it happened. Her body jerked violently. She rolled off the bed and crashed to the floor. A strangled cry ripped from her throat. Her nails scratched across the wood, sparks of light following each desperate movement. Daniel jumped to his feet before he could think. "Lyra!" he shouted, rushing toward her, his promise forgotten. She twisted, her glowing eyes locking onto him. But they were different now. Wilder, sharper. A growl tore from her lips, low and dangerous. Her hands gripped the floor like claws. Daniel froze. Mid-step, his heart pounded. She wasn't just trembling anymore, she was changing. The storm inside her had broken free. "Stay back," she cried, her voice shaking with both fear and hunger. But her body betrayed her words. She lurched forward suddenly, crashing into him. They slammed against the wall. Daniel's breath knocked out of him. Her strength was overwhelming. Her glowing. Skin seared through his shirt, her silver hair fell across his face, her nails pressed into his arms, pinning him. "Lyra!" he gasped, struggling to push her back. But her weight, her heat, her strength pressed him down. Her glowing eyes bore into his, wild and desperate. Her voice came broken, torn between pleading and growling. "I can't stop. I told you. I can't stop." Daniel's chest heaved, his instincts screamed danger, but his heart saw the tears brimming in her glowing eyes. She was not attacking him out of hate. She was drowning in something she could not control. "Fight it, Lyra," he shouted, his voice raw. "You're stronger than this. Don't let it take you." Her nails dug deeper. Her whole body trembled against him. Her lips parted as though she wanted to answer, but only a strangled cry escaped. Her forehead pressed against his chest, her body shaking violently. Daniel gritted his teeth. He wanted to push her away, but his arms refused. Instead, he wrapped them around her, holding her tight, not out of desire but defiance. "You're not alone," he whispered harshly. "I won't let you break even if you think you will." For a moment, she froze, her body stiff against his. Her glowing eyes widened as if his words pierced through the storm. But then another wave hit her. She cried out, her voice filled with pain. Her body convulsed in his arms. Daniel held on tighter, his own body burning. His breath came ragged, his skin stung where her heat pressed against him, but he refused to. "Let go. If you're breaking, then I'll break with you," he whispered, his voice shaking. Her nails loosened slightly, her forehead still pressed against him, her breath hot and desperate. Her voice came low, broken. "Daniel, I don't want to hurt you." His heart twisted, he leaned his head against hers. "Then don't, hold on to me instead." The room spun with heat and light, the air thick with tension. Daniel realized the truth. This was the breaking point. For her, for him, for both of them. And once crossed, there would be no going back. Daniel's arms locked tightly around Lyra. His body burned where her glowing skin pressed against him. Every second felt endless. Her strength was wild, her trembling violent, yet he refused to let go. She struggled in his grip, her nails digging into his shirt, tearing the fabric. Her breaths were ragged, filled with both pain and hunger. Her glowing eyes flickered between silver fire and soft tears. "Daniel," she gasped, her voice half growl, half plea. "I told you to stay away. I told you this would happen." Daniel's chest rose and fell with heavy breaths, his forehead pressed against hers, sweat dripping down his face. "And I told you, you don't have to fight this alone," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "I'm not letting go, not now." Her body shook harder. She pressed her head against his chest, her silver hair sticking to his damp skin. Her whole frame burned like a furnace. Yet in his arms she felt fragile, broken. For a moment, the storm inside her seemed to pause. The glow from her skin flickered. Her grip on his arms loosened slightly, her voice cracked. "Why? Why do you care? Why risk yourself for me?" Daniel's throat tightened. He thought about it. Why didn't he run when he had the chance? Why didn't he push her away? The answer rose from deep inside. "Because you're not a monster, Lyra," he said firmly. "You're my friend. And maybe more. You're worth fighting for." Her glowing eyes widened. Her lips parted as if his words struck a chord deep inside her. She trembled, torn between instinct and emotion. The wild hunger in her gaze dimmed for a moment, replaced by something softer, But then another wave hit her. She cried out, her body convulsing in his arms. The glow surged brighter. The heat grew unbearable. Daniel's muscles screamed, his arms shook, but he held her tighter. "Listen to me," he whispered through clenched teeth. "You have a choice, Lyra. Right here, right now, you can let the fire control you, or you can fight, you can choose." Her whole body tensed. Her nails dug back into his arms. Her voice came broken. I can't." "Yes, you can," Daniel shouted, his voice shaking but strong. "You're stronger than this. You're stronger than you think. Don't let it win. Don't let it take you from me." His words echoed through the room. For a moment, everything went still. The air felt suspended. Her glowing body froze in his arms. Her trembling slowed. Her breath caught. Then slowly, her grip loosened. Her nails retracted. Her body sagged against him. Her forehead pressed weakly to his shoulder. Her glow dimmed slightly. Her voice came soft, broken, but real. "Daniel, I choose you." His heart slammed against his chest. The words washed over him like fire and ice together. He held her tighter, feeling her body relax for the first time since the lockdown began. Her trembling eased, the wildness in her eyes fading. She wasn't cured. He could feel the heat still inside her, but she was no longer fighting him. She was holding on to him, trusting him. Daniel closed his eyes, whispering, "We'll make it through this, together." For the first time that night, silence didn't feel suffocating. The air was still heavy but no longer hopeless. Lyra leaned into his arms, her breathing uneven but calmer. Her glow softened, wrapping the room in gentle light instead of fire. The choice had been made. Not by instinct, not by fire, but by her, and Daniel realized, whatever came next, neither of them would ever be the same. The night stretched on like an eternity. Daniel sat on the floor with Lyra in his arms. Her glowing skin had dimmed, no longer blazing like fire but pulsing softly with light. Her body still burned with heat, but she no longer fought him. Instead, she clung to him weakly, as though his presence was the only anchor holding her steady. His muscles ached from holding her so long, sweat dripped from his brow. His throat was dry, but he didn't let go. He whispered quietly from time to time, stories of his home, his sister, the smell of earth rain, anything to keep her tethered to his voice. Hours passed. The silence outside the door remained unbroken. But inside something had shifted. The wildness in Lyra's eyes had faded. She trembled less. Her breathing steadied against his chest. Finally, a sound cut through the silence. The heavy click of gears turning. The red light above the door blinked, then turned green. The lockdown system was ending. Daniel's head snapped toward the sound. His chest tightened. After endless hours trapped inside, the door was opening, but instead of relief, fear gripped him. What would happen once others saw what had happened here? Lyra stirred in his arms. Her glowing eyes fluttered open. She blinked weakly, her voice a whisper. "The lock, it's over." The door slid open with a hiss. Cold air rushed in. Daniel's skin prickled as the weight of the suffocating heat lifted. Voices echoed faintly from the hallway, guards moving, students whispering. Daniel looked down at her, face pale but calmer now. Her silver hair clung to her skin, damp with sweat. Her glow softened like a fading star. She looked fragile yet more alive than ever. He helped her sit up slowly, his hand steadying her shoulder. She leaned against him, too weak to stand alone. Her voice trembled. "You should go, Daniel. Leave me before they see. They'll think you're in danger." But Daniel shook his head firmly. "I'm not leaving you. Not now, not ever." His voice carried a quiet strength that surprised even himself. She turned her glowing eyes toward him, shimmering with unshed tears. "Why? After everything? After the risk? Why stay?" Daniel's lips curved into a tired but real smile. "Because you chose me," he said softly. "And I choose you too." For a long moment, silence hung between them. Then her lips trembled into the faintest smile. Her head rested against his shoulder, her voice came broken but full of warmth. You don't know what that means to me. Outside, footsteps approached the door. A guard's voice called out, "Room secure. Lockdown. Ended." Daniel tightened his grip around her. His mind raced. Should he tell them the truth of what happened inside? No, he realized. This was their secret. The world would never understand. They would see danger where he had seen courage. They would see a monster where he had seen someone worth saving. He stood slowly, helping Lyra to her feet. Her legs wobbled, but she held on to him. The hallway lights spilled into the room. But for Daniel, the world had already changed as they stepped out together. Whispers followed, curious eyes watching. But Daniel ignored them. His arm stayed firm around her shoulders, guiding her through the crowd. For the first time since the night began, Lyra looked calm, her glowing eyes soft, her voice quiet but steady. "Thank you, Daniel, for seeing me when no one else would." Daniel glanced down at her, exhaustion heavy in his body but certainty burning in his chest. "We survived because of you," he said. "And now, whatever comes next, we face it together." The door closed behind them with a final metallic clang. The lockdown was over, but the bond they had forged inside that room would never be broken.